Hey friends, it's Missy. Thank you for joining me today. I'm back with a new layout using up some of my older stash. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these, but I've been busy doing lots of other things, but I'm finally back using up some older products that I have in my stash. Now, this here is actually the very first Hip Kit Club kit that I ever received. And it is when I first made the design team back in February of 2015. And this is what I have left of it. And so I was just going through my bags of old things on my shelves and saw this kit, and I thought, well, let's just pull this out and see what I've got. So I have some full-size 12 by 12 papers. I have some branding strips, some cardstock, some little pieces of pattern paper that I've cut into or tore. And then I also have this 6x6 paper pad. There's some We Are Memory Keepers, some crepe paper, some Heidi Swap, some My Mind's Eye, and I don't even remember the names of these collections, but what I'm going to do is punch a lot of little squares. I think these are 1-inch squares from just random bits of paper from the 6x6 paper pad and some of the bigger papers. And I was inspired by a layout that Paige Evans did. I'm not quite sure when she did it, but it sort of has a quilted look to it. And I believe she did this technique where you punch squares and then you cut the squares into triangles and then use those triangles to form a really pretty chevron design on the background. And that's what I'm going to do today. I've never done a layout like that before, and so I thought I would give that a try since I saw her layout and thought it was beautiful, and I wanted to try it. I wanted to use up some of my punches because I haven't used my square punches in a really long time, and so that's what I'm going to do for this layout. And it was fun to pull out all these just little bits and pieces of random papers and kind of just make them work together. And I still have a lot of this left over, but I did use up several of, well, not use up completely, but I did use up some of the papers. You can kind of see what I'm doing here of just punching out. You could also do this with circles and sort of make semicircle banners. I've done that before, but I haven't done this technique. And it's really easy. So you start with squares and then you just cut right down the middle and make them triangles. And then I wasn't sure what photo I was going to use. I didn't know what background I was going to use, if I was going to use cardstock or one of the pattern papers or what. And I thought at first, before I get to the chevron, I thought I would make like a geometric heart out of all of these triangles. And so that's kind of what I'm playing with here. And this is part of the fun for me for when I make these stash videos, is to just kind of go for it and see what you can come up with and just try something different. And I like this technique because you get to use a lot of patterns and you get a lot of colors in small increments. So all these little squares are tiny and you get this really fun quilted look because you can kind of mix and match all the colors at random places. So then I decided to kind of separate the colors, and I'm going to use this really light pink cardstock as my background, and I'm going to do a lot of mixed media on it before I add all those little triangles. And so I'm using some white gesso here to smudge down, and I'm going to cover a lot of it because I know that the chevrons are going to take up quite a bit of space, but you're definitely still going to be able to tell that it's pink. So that's dry. I pulled out some Distress Oxides from my stash that coordinate with some of the colors in the papers. And I love to do this technique. You just scrape the pad right across your paper and then squirt some water on it. And here, instead of using plastic packaging or a brush, I'm just using my trusty little stained acrylic stamping block. And it's great for smushing and making your paint kind of messy and splotchy. What are the words I'm looking for here? But you can kind of see what it's doing. It just flattens it out and smushes it around, and you could get the same do the same thing with plastic packaging, or you could use a brush, or you could just spritz it and hold the cardstock up and let the paint kind of drip and run. I've done that before, but I'm using you can see the colors I'm using here. I think I've got peacock feathers, cracked pistachio, what's that one called? Picked raspberry, I think, and abandoned coral. I think I got all of those right. But they're going to match the colors that I've got in all of the little triangles, and I just want some color on the background. This doesn't have to be perfect because a lot of it's going to get covered up with all of those little pieces of paper. And on some of the squares, I've got sort of like a deep reddish pink color, and so I pulled out a red shimmers spray to kind of deepen up the pink a little bit. And that's all I'm doing here. You know, if you follow me, you know that I spend a lot of time on my backgrounds because I just like to have the colors just like I want them, and I like to have them match just like I want them, and I just keep going, and sometimes I don't know when to stop. And I do want to mention that I know I get a lot of questions about gesso, but you see all this liquid that I'm adding to this regular piece of cardstock. The gesso is allowing that to happen without it soaking and tearing the paper. So here's kind of the start of the chevron. I decided to kind of go in, it's not necessarily rainbow, but I started with like the darkest pinkish red, and then it kind of goes into lighter pink. And yeah, I just kind of arranged the triangles in order, and instead of mixing them up randomly, I thought I would kind of keep each one or each pattern kind of close together. And I like how it looks. You could totally mix them up and make them jumbled, and I really like how that looks. I think it adds a fun texture to the background. It gives some fun shape and some color, and you would never really think that this was made from squares. So yeah, definitely check out Paige Evans' chevron layout because it's gorgeous. And so she definitely inspired me to try it, and this was a lot of fun. I did get out my ruler here because I wanted to make sure that the chevrons were straight, and all I'm doing is adding a little bit of glue to each one, and I'm going to do that for all 3 rows. And now you can see how it seemed like I added a lot of paint to the background, but once you add all your paper and thing on top and everything on top of it, a lot of it's covered up. I let everything dry, and then I went across each row with some black thread in my sewing machine and did some fun stitching there. And I'm going to go with this black and white photo of me and my sister. I figured that I would use black and white since I've got a lot of color and pattern, and a busy pattern at that going on in the background, and I just felt like a color photo might get lost in that. So black and white is going to stand out. It's going to keep the photo standing off the page, but it's also going to allow all the colors in the background to stand up off the page, if that makes sense. I'm going back through that 6x6 paper pad and some of the pattern papers to add a little bit of layering behind the photo, and I did add a little bit of tissue paper just for another messy little layer behind there. And I really love black and white stripes. I think that is one of my favorite bold patterns to use, and it really doesn't take a lot of it. In this case, I'm just going to use a little bit of it kind of peeking on the sides of the photo there. And a lot of these pattern papers I had doubles of, and so some of them I have, you know, partial bits of the paper, and then I also have an extra 12 by 12, and I've just been hoarding it since February 2015 after I think I made 5 or 6 layouts. So I've just got some bits. I've got some ephemera there from one of the My Mind's Eye collections. I can't even remember the name of it at this point. So I challenged myself to only use what was in the kit or what was in my little stash bin here on my desk. I had this little Dollar Tree bucket bin thing right here by my computer, and it's got all kinds of random things in it. Look at this crepe paper chipboard sticker sheet. I used quite a bit of that, but I saved what I had left, and I am going to use that little circle that says good stuff, and I'm trying to kind of just make things work. Here I'm going to cut this little piece off of this. It's actually like a little prize ribbon, but I didn't want that. I just wanted the center piece of it, and it says the best. So I'm just going to cut it out, you know. Don't be afraid to slice and dice your die cuts. If you like one part of it, but not the whole thing, cut it up and use what you want. You know, there's no rules saying that you have to use it as is. Now, these are from my stash bin. I'm sure you remember, I think they were Amy Tangerine, maybe some Dear Lizzie, black word and phrase thickers. They went into that bin because you can use them on pretty much anything. And so I'm going to try to force, I don't want to say force myself, but challenge myself to use what I have. And so that's what I'm going to try to do here. I went back and forth. It actually took me, I probably worked on this layout over the course of 3 or 4 weeks. I worked on it a little bit at a time. And then when I ran out of time and I had to make another layout for a design team or something like that, I would put this aside and then come back to it. And so I hemmed and hawed over all of these black thickers for the longest time, and which ones to use and where to put them. I knew I wanted to use something black for my title because I wanted to pull in the black from the picture and from the bits of black in the stitching. And at first I thought I was going to use my fave, but then I thought I want to use a really big word, and I really love this word, friends. And I tried to put it there, and I'm going to play around with this ampersand. And like I said, a lot of this I edited out. I did keep a lot of it in, but I did edit out quite a bit because I just could not decide. Now, I was in Walmart a couple of weeks ago and found this little sticker book in the scrapbooking aisle. It's so cute. It's meant for planners. I'm pretty sure it's a planner type thing. But there's so many cute little stickers that I just had to have that had this watercolor look that would look perfect on layouts. And I use several of them here. I just stick them onto some scrap cardstock and then cut them out so they're a little bit thicker and sturdier, and I can place them wherever I want. Because you know how stickers are, you stick it down on top of your photo and you're not pulling that sucker off. And so I wanted to be able to move things around. But yeah, I was in Walmart and found this little sticker book. I think it was $2.99, and they also had thickers. I don't know if I haven't been in the scrapbook aisle at Walmart in a long time, or if it's a new thing or what, but they were several different packs of thickers for I think $2.84. Some gold glitter ones and some pink glitter ones. I had to get them. I thought, oh my gosh, this is Walmart. What? Let me get these stickers. So yeah, they're in my stash. Of course, I'll probably hoard them because that's what I do. So I've got all of those little pieces that I just stuck down and cut out. And then I also have some pieces, I think I'll pull it out here in a minute, or maybe I already did, from some Me and My Big Idea sticker sheets that I randomly bought at some point in the last couple years from Michaels. And they don't go with a certain collection or anything, but they have a lot of icons and images and phrases and things that I feel could go on any kind of stash layout that I do. And so they're in my little stash bin, and I've got some of those stickers out as well. And so I guess what I'm doing here is just kind of finding things to layer in and around, underneath, on top of the picture. And I'm trying to pull things that are the same color as what I've already used on the background. That's kind of how my brain works. Whatever I've got on the background, I try to make sure that all the embellishments coordinate with that. And so, and I guess I've got a circle theme going on here, even though I used the chevrons, which are sharp. You know me, I'm going to mix and match whatever I feel like using. So I don't know if there's a rule in scrapbooking that says you can't use circles and geometric type of shapes, but I'm doing it here. I'm a rule breaker, so let's just do it. So I thought I really wanted to use this Friends piece, and I like how it looks over there on the side. But, you know, she's my sister, but she's also my friend, and so I'm going to name this Sisters and Friends. And I want to make sure this is straight because those big, giant foam thickers are very, you know, you can bend them and shape them any way you want, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't crooked. So this is me pushing little pieces around. I try pieces over and over again. Sometimes I wind up using it, and then other times I'm like, just put this piece away. You're not going to use it. Why do you keep bringing it back onto the page? So yeah, I'm adding in thread. I added in some thread earlier. I think I forgot to mention that. It was some light blue thread on the right, and then I just put some dark pink there on the bottom. And now these are fairly new. These are some Pink Fresh Studio alphas, but they somehow made it into my little stash bin. So they're right on my desk and they count. So I'm going to use those. So Sisters and Friends is going to be my title, and I used the pink ampersand from a stack of thickers. I guess I did that off camera. It was included in that hip kit. So this little sticker sheet or sticker book from Walmart has the cutest little hearts in it, so I used a couple of those. And then these are some My Mind's Eye enamel dots, again from that hip kit. I'm just going to add in a couple of those because I have them, they're there, they match, and we're going to go with it. Black splatters. Now this is a Shimmers colorings. It's called Night Moves, and it is your standard black. I love it. It does not have any shimmer to it, but it's perfect for ink splatters. So this is like a week or two later. I come back and try to assess what else do I need to do for this layout. And then I looked at it and thought I need some black thread because I just felt like I needed a little bit more pops of black here and there. So that's what I'm doing here. And now you can see all that mixed media that I did in the beginning, how subtle it looks now at this point. You can still see it, but it doesn't overpower anything else on the layout. It just adds detail, it adds texture, and it just adds something to that fun card, or it adds something fun to the cardstock. Makes it unique, makes it different, and that's just one of the main reasons why I love mixed media. There's that little sticker sheet that's random from Michael's. That little sticker says, "We laugh so much." And then this one says this. And these colors just match. And so I thought I'm going to put these on this layout because I look at these stickers all the time and I want to use them and I don't. But I am today. And I feel like this is a little bit busy, but I just couldn't help myself. I just kept adding things and I love the colors and I like how it looks. And so last thing I'm going to do is add in some lines. I didn't know where to put my journaling at first, and then I thought, you know what, just put it at the bottom, finish it up, and go for it. And so that's what I'm doing, and I think I'm finally finished. It seems like I got through this pretty quick, but it actually took me probably over the course of 3 weeks to finish this layout. But anyway, there it is. I really like it. It was fun to make. It is kind of busy, but you know what? I had fun making it. It was fun to punch all those squares and search through all of the stuff in the kits and just kind of mix and match with little random things on my desk. And I enjoyed doing it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions. It feels good to finally get back into a stash video. I was super busy in September. I think I had like 4 guest things to do and I just did not have extra time to do stash layouts. So hopefully I will have some more time here coming up. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great week, and I will see you in my next video.